Building muscle at home with no equipment. I remember back before I started going to the gym, I had this app which gave me all these sorts of workouts for my chest, legs, abs, whatever. And it had all these weird exercises. I fucking bicep curled my legs and did all these fancy little ab workouts, which is just 20-second pauses and then doing all this weird whatever. Obviously, I did not gain pretty much anything from doing that. I could have concluded that it is impossible to get any gains without equipment, and mostly this is true. But there is something. There are some exercises which you can use to gain muscle, which do not require any bonus weight. For the chest, we have one particular exercise which absolutely saves the juicy milkers. Push up. Yeah, I haven't made up any exercise. I'm not trying to sell you anything fancy, just the push up. But split into 5 different levels of difficulty, which you can use to progress, to become stronger, and most importantly, to use for hypertrophy and to gain muscle mass in your chest. Now, before I move on to the list, let's clear up on technique. Firstly, palm position. This is a very important point, but this is something that you are going to find out about yourself because not everyone is the same. For example, you can put your palms shoulder width. You can go wider. You can go even more closer. This is something that you have to experiment with. You have to try doing it one day with a wider grip, one day with a shorter grip, and see what fits you best. What makes you feel your chest best while doing the push-up? Secondly, body position. It is very important you keep your body in a position where, well, you're not screwing the ground. That's important. But also, your butt is not up in the sky. Make sure that the first body part that touches the floor is your chest. Thirdly, slow eccentrics. I think everyone has that friend who at one point asked you, how many push-ups can you do? And you say like, I don't know. And he says like, I can do 100, 150. Like, okay. But as you grow older, you realize that it's a meaningless number. They just go quickly and with no full range of motion and whatever. The third point is get that slow eccentric because this part is also important to grow muscle. So make sure you go down slowly, no Lightning McQueen ass reps. And the fourth point, full range of motion. Like I mentioned, we're not doing any half reps, none of that shit. 90 degrees is also not important. A lot of people have said this, go just 90 degrees. You can if you're a beginner and if you're not strong enough to perform a full deep range of motion push up. But we're trying to make sure that we're getting a full range of motion, chest touching the ground and up. Now that we have cleared up on technique, let's move on to the first level of the push-up, the kneeling push-up. The PE teacher was onto something when he said that the girls should do kneeling push-ups and the boys should do regular push-ups. You see, the kneeling push-ups take off some of your body weight, which means, well, you're not pushing your whole body weight. But this makes it easier for us if you're a beginner and you haven't performed push-ups at all, or you have but you're not strong enough to push up your whole body weight for at least 5 reps. 5 is a minimum. Then move on. Well, I guess in this list, move backwards to kneeling push-ups. This is not a bad thing. Make sure you're performing 5 to 30 reps of kneeling push-ups, and you'll be strong enough to move on to more difficult versions of the push-up. With that said, the second level of the push-up is the incline push-up. For most people, the stronger part of the chest is the lower chest. And this exercise, or the variation of the push-up, make sure you're using mostly your lower chest. Now you might say, Marcus, isn't it important to strengthen the upper chest then? Yes, it is. However, you have to improve your strength level to make sure that you can perform push-ups which focus more on the upper chest. And we're doing that by firstly making sure that our lower chest is stronger and stronger, which will then help us perform exercises where, yes, we're using the upper chest more, but the lower chest is also included. Like with the first version, make sure you're working in the 5 to 30 rep range. And then when you feel comfortable, move up to the third level, the regular push-up. Halfway through, and we're getting to the regular push-up. This one is quite simple. It uses pretty much all of your chest, still mostly lower chest, but your upper chest is working too. What can I say about this one? It's the regular push-up. Just make sure that you're sticking to my technique tips. And again, 5 to 30 reps. Work on it. Make sure you're performing them well. Good. The fourth level of the push-up is the decline push-up. This version focuses much more on your upper chest, like I mentioned at level 2. Now we have a stronger lower chest, so now our upper chest can get more work done, but we're getting a little bit more help from our lower chest, and that is good, because now you can actually perform this exercise in the 5 to 30 rep range, which is the hypertrophic rep range. So your upper chest is gonna catch up, so don't worry about that. Stick to the technique tips, perform the exercise well, and again, good to go. And now, the fifth level of the push-up, the final level, almost, I'll explain. The deficit push-up. This version is very, very good because it stretches your chest out as much as possible, which means more hypertrophy, more muscle growth. Now, of course, we have to get to this level first. That's why we had the first 4 levels. But when you get strong enough, this is the exercise which will give you the most muscle gain in your chest. Of course, when we're talking about the push-ups. Make sure you go especially slow at the lowest, most stretched range of motion. And I guarantee you're gonna make gains. This is guaranteed. Just can't be otherwise. Yeah. Now I am gonna talk about a bonus level. You can use weight, which you can put on your back. I wouldn't advise putting any plates on your back. Yeah, you can do that, absolutely. But I don't like to see the horrors which happen if it goes wrong. You can use something like a backpack. Make sure it's balanced. Make sure that you weigh it so that you can track your progress, so that you can see how much weight you're putting on this week, next week. You can gradually increase it and progress. And again, sure, this uses some equipment, but you probably have a backpack at home, so it shouldn't be a problem, I hope. Another thing which I will talk about is something like drop sets. For example, let's say you're at level 5, you're performing the deficit push-ups. You can complete your deficit push-ups to failure or close, And then you can drop down to kneeling push-ups, which are a much easier variation of the push-up. And now you can perform these again to whatever point you want, to failure or close again. That is important. And this is a fine variation to use if you want to squeeze out all the juice you have in your chest. To summarize, these 5 variations are very great. You might be asking, aren't there much more versions of the push-up? And there are. Examples: the one-arm push-up. I wouldn't include this in a list, which is meant for more hypertrophic or muscle gain, like this one, because I think the one-arm push-up firstly requires a lot of strength, and secondly, it's not really balanced, you know? It feels like you could fall over at any point of performing the exercise sometimes. So yeah, I don't think it's fitting. Also, you can perform something like plyometric explosive whatever push-ups. I don't know what the people call it. Again, you can't really focus on getting a slow eccentric because you're just falling down on the ground. Don't think it's the best exercise. That's it. I wouldn't include it in the hypertrophy list. But if you want to build dynamic strength, go on, do that one. Are there any more exercises? Yep, forgot to mention the diamond push-up. This is a fine variation to do, but that is focused more on your triceps. As this video was made for the chest exercises or the chest variations of the push-up, I did not include this in this list, but if you want to work your triceps as well, this is a fine variation to do. I made this list with the goal of getting the most muscle mass on your chest, and these 5 variations are the ones which help you focus on performing the exercise well so that you can get the most muscle gain you can get out of performing these push-ups. What do the YouTube people say? Like and subscribe. I hope you like this. Comment if you have any questions, whatever. If you have any discussions or hate comments, go on. I have to get used to those. Thank you.